Our moderator for this session is Mr. Amit Koshal from TWID, and I request you to kindly welcome our moderator along with our esteemed panelists, Mr. Abhishek Saxena from OmniCard Eroute Technologies. And let's have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as they join us up on stage. Mr. Mohit Gorisariya from SalarySe. Welcome, sir. We'd like to welcome Mr. Bhargav Errangi from Bhargav. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to welcome Mr. Jaswinder Sodhi from HSBC India. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to welcome Ms. Agarwal from Amazon Pay India. Indeed, a very interesting panel here, and we're looking forward to a very fulfilling discussion on building sustainable consumer loyalty. Thank you each and every one of you for joining us. And do you take your seats?
A quick introduction on on this space itself. When we were talking about loyalty as such, and as per our understanding, the very beginning of the loyalty happened primarily in the airline segment. And this was way back, around 20-25 years ago, when majority of the people used to travel in economy, and that's not how loyalty was getting built. But when business class travel started happening, the consumers were actually taking a lot of loyalty points and then using it. And that was primarily happening because all these points were not sponsored by these people itself who were traveling in the business class, because the tickets were sponsored by the corporates. So points were getting accumulated, and then they were using for their vacation in the economy tickets. Right? So that's how the loyalty in airlines segment started in. And we also believe very strongly that whenever there will be more than one choices for a customer, there will be a need for loyalty to kick in. With that as a background, let me introduce you to the panelists here. And I have some write-up for them. Introducing first you to Bhargav, who's sitting next to me. He's a seasoned entrepreneur. First made waves with his social commerce startup Spoil, which was acquired by Flipkart in 2020. After that, he went on to build Shopsy at Flipkart, and even took the reins of the company's loyalty program, Superpoints. And we are very excited to be partnering with Superpoints. He's now building network age of new age consumers at Pop, using UPI as a hook. One of the fun facts about Bhargav, he was researching great apes, not apps, APES apes, for understanding how language is involved in humans during his PhD, a field far, far away from loyalty and consumer tech. Welcome, Bhargav. I have Jaswinder with me. Jaswinder is the CMO at HSBC. He has over 2 decades of experience in this segment, working with large banks including DBS, ICICI, and Jio Payments Bank. He's a business person turned marketer, but always digital at heart. Brought to life a couple of digital banks in India. Welcome, Jaswinder. I have Anuradha with us. Anuradha leads marketing at Amazon Pay. She is responsible for driving user growth by acquiring, engaging, and retaining users, millions of them. Anuradha has rich experience of over 2 decades across sales, marketing, and strategy for a host of marquee local global brands in India and multinational companies like Disney India, Mondelez, Vodafone, and HUL. One of the fun facts about her, she is learning Hindustani classical music, but on the contrary, she loves watching spy and sci-fi movies. Welcome, Anuradha. We also have Mohit with us. Mohit is a co-founder of SalarySe, a credit on UPI platform focused on salaried customers. Mohit started his career as corporate banker with HSBC Bank, but worked most of his time at BCG as a management consultant. He's a movie buff. He's one of the biggest motivations to start something is the movie Bazigar. We would love to learn more about that later. Apart from the fact that he also comes from a business family. Welcome, Mohit. Last, we have Abhishek with us. Abhishek Saxena is the co-founder and managing director of Eroute Technology, which is also known as OmniCard, has been blending tech with business savvy for over 19 years. He holds 8 patents, including 1 in AI. Amazing. And after working with giants like HSBC in Taiwan and Samsung, Abhishek still finds time to dream up his next big idea, proving that innovation really runs on coffee and curiosity. So welcome you all. To start with, I have my first question for Mohit and Abhishek. Mohit, regarding your company which is offering credit on UPI to salaried people, and Abhishek, you are providing PPI corporate cards linked with UPI to corporates. What are the most appealing rewards for customers? Are they more attracted to cashback, discounts, offers, or loyalty points as a currency? What exactly data tell you from your business today?
Yeah, thanks Amit for the introduction. Thank you everyone. Thanks MBCI, the JFF team. I think this is growing every year. Maybe we will be like MWC of Spain very soon. It's just that we need to find a better place. I think it's get choked because most of us took 2 hours to reach here. But anyways, yeah, it's a good growth because I've been attending this I think from the first year. Yeah, Amit, being an issuer, we do corporate card linked with UPI, which is UPI on PPI. The reward expectations is the same. It is as same as credit card, and it's also we feel it's a responsibility as an issuer that we should bring the rewards to our customers because it's not just for the loyalty reason, but it's like a very clear expectations from our customers. But now the challenge is that the reward which used to be, like in my first card I was sharing with you guys, we used to calculate points, we used to see which gift to be ordered and it comes like 15 days later and we are very happy with that. But today, customers, they watch 30 seconds reels, so they need everything instant. So the cashback is the only way right now. And but the cashback does not have any perceived value. Whatever you are showing, whatever they are seeing is that. But the rewards which has higher perceived value, that is actually a reward. But the challenge is like how to get high perceived value rewards at the same time real-time redemption. So this is something which we looking forward, how to build that. And one more thing I would like to add, then the session can open. That rewards, there are many rewards, in the country, but India is an interoperable country. We have UPI, we have card, we know that, okay, even I'm using Paytm and the merchant is won't pay, but I can do the payment. The same expectation is on the reward side as well, that there has to be some interoperability so that doesn't matter where I'm getting the reward, and it's easy for issuers also, right? They don't need to build their own thought process, but they can just hook on any one thing that okay, this is the reward method, and no matter where I'm getting the reward, but my redemption is like very obvious and the real time. This is something I believe is the demand of current user.
So I think thanks a lot to NPCI and Amit for introducing us. It's great to be here. Our experience has been slightly different because of also the customer segment we target, right? So we are building a straight on UPI platform for salaried customers, and we target a very specific set of customers, right? Typically, our customers are aged between 22 to 35 years of age, right? They are the first time entering into the corporate world, right? Most of them comes from a very humble background, right? A lot of them from like tier 2, tier 3 towns, right? And they are getting introduced to rewards, they are getting introduced to a lot of fintech products for the first time, right? But at the same time, they are also millennials, right? 60% of our customers are millennials, and their balance are Gen Z, right? What does this mean is they have access to all the information which is available at their fingertips, which makes them like impatient, right? So what we have seen typically in terms of behavior is that there is no one size fits all approach, which we can take at least for the customer segment which we are targeting. Especially some of the trends which we have seen in a high ticket impulse buying category, discounts works best, right? Because they want to go to a shop, if let's say buy a TV, if they see that there is a 10% discount there or 20% discount, they will use that platform or a card to avail that discount, right? Whereas on a day-to-day basis for their expenses, right? Typically, as Abhishek was also saying, the perceived value has to be higher, right? And perceived value not only in terms of the amount, but also in terms of where you can redeem or how easy it is to get those rewards or cashback points. Typically what happens is in case of reward programs, either the redemption is very difficult or you are redeeming through a catalog which might not be relevant for me as a customer. Nowadays what we have seen is most of the customers are looking, if you can give them flexibility to redeem wherever they want. Right? That works the best in our segment.
Super. Thanks, Mohit. And Abhishek, you know what that means primarily, and what you're trying to say, is that for a higher ticket value, a typical discount can work the best. But for a regular transaction that a customer do, which is a smaller ticket size, maybe a reward program could be a better idea. The reason for that primarily also is that the redemption of the current programs are very, very close loop. So people don't know what to do with it. But in case that gets opened up, there is a lot of value that can get created. So thank you. Bhargav, coming to you. With your background leading Flipkart Supercoins, and now with Popular's recent launch of its own UPI app and credit card, which serves as a new loyalty currency which has 4 pop coins as such on board. How do you view the evolution of this space? And given that similar new currencies have been introduced before, face a lot of challenges in scale and engagement, how do you see that this needs to get your space into it?
Thanks, Amit, and thanks NPCI for hosting all of us. This time I think the event is twice bigger and thrice busier. So, coming to your question, see, I think there are 2-3 aspects that I want to touch upon. For any loyalty program to work, I think Mohit and the gentleman also address this, the customer relevance has to be very, very high. They need to find value in your currency, which means that you need to enable multiple redemption options, not closed loop, to your point, and there should be value out of it. Tangible or intangible. So that's number one. While doing that, there is a beneficiary on the other end, which is the merchant who's trying to get tap into this customer network. They also should be able to burn these coins at a relatively lower cost, which means that subvention has to be in their hands at the end of the day. So traditionally, when people have built loyalty currencies, is that everything is skewed towards one partner. So I'll take an example of payback. When payback worked with the banking partners, the issuance was controlled by one of the largest banking partners, whereas the benefit of this, the beneficiaries were all the merchants in the network. So at some point in time, the banking partner got like, okay, what the F is this? So why would I do this? And hence, the dichotomy sort of defines the engagement of the loyalty currency as well. So traditionally, if you look at historically as well, that has been the case. Second, obviously, if you look at closed-loop programs like Flipkart Supercoins or Tata New coins, they all meant to drive things for their own good, right, for their own platforms. So, which means that the redemption options are limited for the customer to be on Flipkart or Tata or Intermiles or, which is basically the brand who is running the program, they will have the maximum benefits. So that is also the third in the relevance at the end of the day. So what we are trying to do, or what probably we are seeing as a pattern, is a open loop sort of currency where the engagement is a right-owned truly by all the merchants and all the partners equally in the ecosystem. There need to be a proper governance for that. Obviously, it's not easy. When Flipkart is building the governance for Supercoins, it's all in Flipkart's hand. You can set up the coin redemption rates, you can now actually control the issuance rates depending upon your market marketing budget, etc., etc. Whereas if it's a open loop, the challenge is much, much higher because you're dealing with thousands and thousands of merchants. You need to build a proper governance program, etc., etc. So that is one thing that, as an evolution to the traditional programs that we have seen, is something that will come forward and we are also trying to attempt and solve. The second biggest problem I see from a merchant standpoint, customers find what value. India is a very value-centric market. If you throw a Flipkart voucher to a soul store coupon, they grab it. Finding the point of redemption and the ease of redemption should be very, very high. I'll add to what you were saying. It's the probability or sort of relatability saying that I know that I'll find a value of this much for these points and I know where to redeem them easily is very, very important. Right? So I agree with what Mohit and the gentleman were saying. But coming back to the point around what is the merchant problem here is that merchants today don't want to take the cost of redemption because attribution is a problem. Merchant feels like I spent a lot of money on Flipkart or Facebook or Google, I got the customer and the points are getting redeemed on checkout, why should I pay you an NDR or an affiliate fees? You must have seen this in your experience as well. So attribution becomes a problem and the points that come to checkout in the online space. So the main important point that the futuristic programs like us or whoever is working in this space is to focus on how do you build attribution to the merchant that this is an order driven by the program or loyalty program, which means that you have to be in the full loop all the way, which means that you have to build consideration to purchase, which is also another interesting problem because it's not that easy, especially in an online world. How do you, people fight for attribution at the end of the day. We all believe in Facebook's attribution, but we don't believe in the loyalty program driving conversion attribution, right? So hence, building that attributional model and also building relevance at the cost of what a merchant could afford to burn is where I see the next future of co-loyalty or loyalty points heading. Again, long way to go, but somewhere in that direction we are also heading.
Perfect. So the two takeaways. One, the more the open loop a program can be, the more acceptability from the consumers, so that they have the flexibility of using wherever they want to use it. Number two, when it's a brand loyalty, primarily an attribution by the merchant is very, very critical because they should be able to see that this consumer is gotten by me or sent by me. So once that attribution is complete, then it makes more sense. Yeah, thank you. Another coming to you. Another, as a very, very experienced marketing leader, with a track record of managing major brands in our country, and now leading Amazon Pay, how should a young versus an established brand approach consumer loyalty, and what are the strategies of increasing a market share for both a young brand and an established brand?
That would take a master class.
That's a master question.
It's a masterful question indeed. Thanks for that question and thanks for having me here. It's an interesting question that you're asking, and in it is the assumption that the strategy for a young brand and a brand which is established is slightly different. But let me take an example from a world which none of us probably here are part of right now. When I started my life, I started in FMCG, like selling soap or shampoo or cream, right? The measure of loyalty there was number of purchase occasions in the total category purchase. Right? So if you bought 12 bars of soap in a year, how many bars of soap were the brand that you wanted to create loyalty for? All other pieces of marketing being the same. Right? And one of the biggest challenges for our category is that we can't really differentiate on product and there's no pricing really at play. So that's why we're all talking rewards for loyalty. I think one of the key differentiators for that industry for sustainable loyalty was product. And I just want to underscore that there is no young brand. A lot of young brands believe that we'll come in, we'll do like this base MLP product, MVP product, and then we'll throw a lot of reward money at it, and that will give us gains. I think one of the things we have to be conscious of is that gives you trial, but it doesn't necessarily give you loyalty. In the food industry, which also I've been part of, it was called moorishness, which was use it once or eat it once, and you want to eat more of it. I believe that young managers have to look at products from the lens of, do I have a great, lovable experience? Do I have an experience that I want to come back to? And then build in enough value for the customer to say that, yes, when I come back to this, not only is my experience great, I also get everything else that the brand is talking about, relevant rewards, repeatable rewards, and predictable rewards. To me, that part of loyalty is like, it's the tail of loyalty. People come back to products and services that they like, that they get used to, so there's a lot of habit building involved in it as well. I mean, we used to say in FMCG that if you give a big bottle to a customer, they'll get so used to the perfume of the product that they'll come back to it. To draw an analogy for payments, it would be, you get so used to the experience of that bill payment that you will come back and pay the bill here. And once you do that, you have to make sure that experience remains the same. And maybe the predictability of rewards also remains the same. So giving something 200 rupees in the first transaction, 500 rupees for the first 5 transactions, and then taking it away, actually it's like a breakage of the customer promise. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind.
No, that's fantastic. And I was assuming that you will be bringing this point, that more than reward points or cashbacks or discounts, getting the right experience for the consumer is the most important part. How do I search on a particular website, a 10-minute delivery of a product, the smell of the product, right? So how does that product is, that makes a lot of difference. But one analogy to that is that that's your core business. You are bound to do that. And there are multiple players who will be doing something similar. The question is, how would you get the consumer to be more stickier with you as compared to, so Swiggy is delivering in 10 minutes, Zomato is delivering in 10 minutes. How do the two differentiate now themselves? Becomes one of the questions as well.
So, Amazon Pay did this extensive research to find out why people choose payment apps one over the other, and why do they choose payment products, not just apps one over the other. And like you said, there is one customer is not equal to the other, so the drivers of choice are different. I mean, there is a pretty large substantial part of India which is value driven, and they will shop around for value. They will have both Swiggy and Zomato, and they'll say, who's giving me, I haven't transacted here for some time, so now they'll give me 100 rupees off on my delivery, but I do that very often, so I won't get it here, and they'll keep switching between one and the other because they've understood reward maximization. And there is a pretty large, substantial part of the customer base who knows that. But I think there is an element of experience which is built into rewards, which customers get used to, and once you're used to it, you don't exit it. I mean, again, I'm not giving you payments example because we're still working on making this work for everybody, right? There's a lot of inertia that's at play at payments as well. It's not always rewards, and once the rewards go away, you become habit forming. But one of the examples of brands which are doing this is Duolingo. It's a very cool example of the gamification of perceived rewards. Candy Crush. Like all these are such Moorish examples of perceived rewards you get. One little ting, one dopamine hit, one tear. All of which they learned probably from other industries but they seem to be doing a really good job of taking, say, parental experience, but adding value or adding a layer to that experience and making it more rewarding and you would never go somewhere else because that experience is just more rewarding.
Just want to add a point there. So the example you took of Duolingo they are innately dopamine hit products. Language learning, games innately have the habit of opening every day. So when you contrast them with a commerce product, which is not purely transactional, intent-led, I want to buy a soap, I want to link it, or a shirt, I go on Amazon. How do you build loyalty becomes a pretty difficult problem. Right? So layering loyalty, like intangible and more esoteric with respect to gaming apps is relatively easier than layering rewards, which are not transactional platforms, like especially e-commerce, because we come from that world. How do you see that dichotomy, and how do you think the next gen platforms should address that?
I think, and all the panelists spoke about a lot of things which are really relevant. I think we spoke about open loop rewards, we spoke about relevance of rewards, we spoke about interoperability of whatever rewards the customer is getting. What we are realizing is to the customers that we talk to, as Amazon Pay and as Amazon, they are collecting so much of reward that the real value of that reward that they are getting is hard for them to recognize. I mean, attribution by the merchant is one thing. I'm not sure even the customer is being able to attribute where I got this coupon from and where I was right. So I think making this, and while I agree that those are fundamentally moreish, I have played 5 kinds of match 3 games. I'm addicted only to one. And the point I'm making, and I'm specifically making this point, that even if my inherent experience is habit forming, the experience that allows me to come back to the habit because there are like perceived pings or dopamine hits that I can get better than another one, I think it is the reason for why I keep coming back. So I think that what program has the ability or the opportunity to build something in there which goes beyond base and really base fantastic customer experiences like table stakes, right? And not everybody has that. So I think that becomes table stakes.
Perfect. Thanks, Anuradha. Jaswinder, coming to you. With your extensive experience leading various initiatives at the banking, and you have been in international banks, Indian banks. So 2 questions. Number 1, based on your experience with both again international and Indian banks, how do their perspective on consumer loyalty differs? How do Indian banks think? How does international banks think? Do they think both same, or is it different? And number 2, considering the significant spending by the banks, and as we were talking about, and Anuradha also touched upon it, banks spend a lot of money on discounts. 10% discount, 5% discount, higher FCCs, more discount. Is it more effective to allocate those funds into such initiatives, or it would be better to build a program or loyalty program and invest heavily onto those? Because cashbacks and discounts people don't remember that you gave or some other bank gave, but loyalty is to you, right? So in your experience, how do these 2 fare?
Thanks, Amit. First of all, it's great to be here amongst all the folks. Fintech Festival is growing in strength year on year and brings the best of Indian minds on one platform. It's a great thing to happen for Indian ecosystem of fintechs. To your question, the first question which was around, is there a difference in perspective for rewards between Indian and international banks? I think if I were to go back probably 8-10 years back, yes, there was a difference. Over the period of time, I think the technologies have converged. Indian audiences, or local audiences, if I might call them, have become increasingly global. So the perspectives are, everybody knows what happens in US, what happens in UK, what happens in Dubai, right? So there's clearly, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of information which is available. So as a result of which the audiences have got matured, and hence the differences between the programs for both the kind of institutions has not very different today. It could be different from the perspective of a different target group each one of them have. International banks may be looking at more NIs, may be looking at international audiences, executives traveling abroad, students going abroad for studies, etc. Local banks would be more looking at how do they grow their base, how can they acquire more customers from other banks who are going to operate. Objectives could be different. The objectives could be channel conversion. For local, it could be increasing the cross-border spends for the international banks. Right. So accordingly, the pot of the money also changes. In in terms of what you can offer, and hence the nature of rewards and the size of the rewards. Right. So, but from a perspective of consumer, I think it's a win-win situation because you get to have the best of both the worlds. So from my perspective, I think both the perspectives from international and local banks are converging increasingly. It again is based on use case, target group, objectives, and the commercialization which is available. So that's what I would think for the first question. Sorry, the second question was around.
Sorry, the second question was around that the banks spend heavily on discounts and cashbacks versus rewards.
See, that's a Eroute question. Again, the function is of different. It's a function of different reasons, right? Because discounts and cashbacks are probably a kickstarter of an habit, right? They are not probably long-term sustainable loyalty tools. Long-term, you need something where customer comes back, experiences you again and again, is able to redeem without friction, has a kind of trust built in, etc., etc. Discounts, cashbacks are largely treadmill stuff where you want to promote a particular aspect of your proposition or a product. You give that, you move on, you get the customers on board, and you hope they will like the product and experience, and they will continue to stick with you, right? So from that perspective, I think there is a clear differentiation over the life cycle. Accelerated rewards make more sense. Any organization should invest in that from a long-term loyalty perspective. However, there is also an aspect of commercialization here because many times the core money of the organization goes in building long-term habits, which means that if I were to spend 100 rupees from my own pocket, I will build a behavior which can be sustainable. I will invest in a loyalty program. However, if I am getting a partner who is willing to promote a particular product or a launch or a service, I will use that to top that up and get some more customers, get some more spend, get some more behaviors accelerated at the top of it. So from that perspective, it is also the availability of funds, money, the source of it kind of also defines the end use. The closer it is to you, the more judicious you are. In a way that kind of answers the question.
Thanks, Jaswinder. So it looks like the bank needs to keep doing all these things. Both are important. For certain set of customers. Thank you. Mohit, coming to you, do the preferences for forms of gratification, like these cashbacks or loyalty program, etc., do they differ between the segments that you are targeting versus the affluent segment as such, or there is a thin line to it?
So I think it differs for sure, right? So if you look at the affluent or the HNI segment, right, they don't look at frequency of gratification so much, but it has to be more like in terms of quantum, a big number, and also more than that, it is a social validation they are looking for, right? So even if you talk about credit cards, right, the affluent credit cards, they are either like the HDFC engineers of the world, right? Either the quantum is very high, or people would be looking at like American Express, right? If you talk about the platinum reserve they have, right, or the titanium reserve, they are the golf experience or the exclusive device they get, right? That matters more than they're getting rewards on every single transaction or instant gratification in terms of the rewards. The customer segment which we are targeting, they are also looking for such experiences, but not to that extreme, right? So one very peculiar thing, which is more like a demographic thing for our customer, because most of our customers are millennials or Gen Z, is that they are looking for instant gratification. Right? If I made a transaction right now, I should earn the reward right now, I should be able to redeem it right now. Right? That's one trend we observe. Second is, because they are coming from a humble background and they want to feel arrived in life, more than they are also looking at something plus, right? And if you can build an experience there on top of it, right? Like a very simple element could be that if you can organize some exclusive deals for them or exclusive, let's say, events for them, right? That would work. That can work wonders for them, for that customers. But yeah, ultimately, HNIs would look at very, very different kind of gratification.
So for your segment, instant gratification is different. Yes. Thanks. Abhishek, coming to you, on the current structure of credit card or UPI, CC on UPI, or PPI as well, where some transaction incurs MDR and some does not. In both cases, how do you think that the B2B versus B2C market would be treating the consumers well from building a sustainable consumer loyalty? Is there a play in it?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. As our session says, sustainable loyalty, right? So, if we keep spending our marketing budget, that will not be sustainable. So, ultimately, it has to be the business model we should bring the loyalty. So, when I talk about B2B, because fortunately we are into B2B and B2C both, B2B, they are more focused on their problems. If we are able to solve their problem, which I think another was also mentioning, if the product has something to offer, then cashback or everything becomes secondary for them. Of course, it's an added advantage, but their main focus is to solve their problem. But when it comes to B2C, then this loyalty or rewards is the mainstream, because as I mentioned earlier also, it is clear expectations. Now because the UPI, the MDR and UPI is very different from the card side. And when I talk about retail, at least in my case, major of the transactions are UPI transactions, not the card transactions. So, and UPI and PPI right now, MDR is kind of zero. So for us, this is a challenge. But at the same time, we find this as an opportunity, because now our focus is like how to bring more innovation on the RuPay network or the card network. So we are working on different form factors, like we are bringing wearables, we are bringing tokenization, so that the connected card use cases will be there. And because of that innovation, we also feel the reward and loyalty will be different. Maybe, if connected car is a use case, maybe my loyalty will be okay if you keep doing this payment, your next car service will be on us. The things will be different, the things will evolve. But at the end of the day, the business side has to support the loyalty. In our case, because as I said, UPI is majority and these innovations are coming, but in our case right now we bring a elite program. So we want to offer something, but then there is some cost. And definitely if there are customers who are willing to be elite and we will love to be elite, so our more focus on B2C right now is building more loyalty than giving the reward instances and the innovations.
Got it. So in the interest of time, we have only 3 minutes left, so we'll have 2 quick questions. Bhargav, to you, while the primary goal of most of the reward program is to engage, re-engage customers, and maybe the audience also wants to learn about this, can a loyalty program also be used to acquire consumers?
That's a good question. In the interest of time, I'll also keep it short. It sort of fits into the overarching answer is the sustainable loyalty. I'll lead to that. If you look at a single brand loyalty program, it is meant to retain customers. So I come in, I buy something, I earn some currency, I come back. The hook is the repeat transactions. Whereas if you make that single closed loop open, there is a crosswalk you're enabling for the customers. So that currency, if it can be earned and burned, burned is redeemed on multiple platforms. Customer can earn on brand A or merchant A, can go to brand B, not even knowing what brand B is before. Because of the currency, they got to know what brand B, and they go to brand B and redeem, that becomes an acquisition for brand B. So our open loop, coalition loyalty, our godfather's payback has done this really well. So I think that is the answer of acquisition, but loyalty is meant for retention overall. Supercoins, if you make open loop or closed loop and open loop, it also rationalizes the cost for Flipkart. Because if you take a customer of Flipkart to out to a B2C brand, for example, and they can acquire a Flipkart customer and pay an affiliate commission, it subvents the cost. So it's a sustainable way to build loyalty by making an open loop to closed loop and making a retention program to also acquire for other brands. That's my short.
Maybe not directly, but indirectly,
Yes.
Acquisition of consumers.
Yes. Can be enabled, yeah.
Jaswinder and Anuradha, for both of you, last question. Apart from the right product, right consumer experience, etc., what could be some other alternative ways to build a sustainable consumer loyalty in our country precisely?
So I think in my mind there are just two things, how simple it is, how transparent it is, because, and of course the experience to redeem, right? Because most of the points, most of the programs, if they are not able to convey what value they bring on table, the customer ends up confused, right? And a confused person can never make a quick decision or a decision in favor of you. It would be more of a love. So it is important for us to kind of devise something which is simple. That's where we see the market is trending towards more of 1:1 burns, easier to understand loyalty programs, etc. And more app-driven or digital interface-driven redemption programs where the customers can actually go and do everything what they want to. So I think from this perspective, and third one is of course, if you're transparent about your numbers and they don't change very frequently, I think that builds trust over a longer period of time. So I think these factors are quite important.
So just quickly to add to everything that Jaswinder was saying, I think two things I would say. With all the good things in the product, make it difficult for the customer to exit. And what I mean, telecom does it very well, they don't let you leave, even if you're really unhappy, that's not what I meant. I basically mean that if the customer has built habit, built an experience, built a repertoire of what they do, is already doing many things with us. So maybe cross-category usage, cross-product usage. I think the greater the depth of loyalty across product, the more difficult it is for the customer to leave. So I think enabling, nudging, getting people to settle, using say in the payments context, using the payment product for more than one use, and giving a predictable experience, I think is one really good way of creating loyalty. I think the other part that's getting discussed intensively is if we can do a loyalty program in a manner that it's sustainable financially, because we're talking about sustaining loyalty. But if the reward program or the loyalty program is not something you can sustain financially, you're not going to give a consistent, predictable experience. But if you can give a consistent, predictable experience, there's no reason for that not to be creating sustainable loyalty. So the last thing I would say is what you were talking about acquisition. I think there is possibility of acquiring directly with the loyalty program if your loyalty program is better than someone else's. When all other things are equal, ceteris paribus as they say, then which credit card gives me a better loyalty program is probably the reason why I'm choosing one versus the other, and that's the acquisition program, right? So for me, it's not just, it is of course loyalty generating, but loyalty programs, when you have parity products, is what creates the difference between brands.
Perfect, that's great sustainability. At TWID, we also call this out, that spends do not give rewards. Rewards drive spends. With that, thank you so much. And we can open up for one or two quick questions from the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, for any of you who have a question, please raise your hands so that we can have the mic brought over to you. But sir, I believe the panel has answered every question they might have had. Oh, we do have one question, all right. Yeah, thanks so very much. We will have the microphone brought over to you, sir. We have two actually, sir.
Hi, my name is Vikas. I wanted to understand that while we talk about a long-term sustainable loyalty program, while we also talk about consumers are looking for, especially the Gen Z, while Abhishek was talking, that they are looking for instant gratification. How do you balance a program which caters to both of us?
Yeah, I think this is exactly which we would. I'm not sure where you are. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, you can hear me. Light is. So this is exactly we are trying to solve because reduction is very important. That's for sure. But at the same time, as the panel discussed and everybody almost mentioned that it's not just immediate offer or immediate cashback, but we are trying to build something like a loyalty. So what we, as a program, what we suggest that there has to be continuously, if you spend more, you get like level 2, then you spend more, then you get level 3, and every level we try to enhance the user experience, we enable more features for you. That is what the loyalty can bring, but at the same time, reduction can be real time and all that. So I believe this is how we are building. Anybody?
I'll just add one more point to it. It's a function of two things. Which life cycle stage the brand is in. If it is an early stage, the whole driver is about acquisition. You are in a hurry, gratifications may work better. If it is about long term, if you are in a matured life cycle stage, you are trying to differentiate yourself with a lot of other things, and this happens to be one. I think you need to probably invest, and you should have invested by that time in a good loyalty program. So the balance is not a permanent thing. It will change over a period of time, depending upon which life cycle stage you are in, what objectives you are pursuing, and accordingly we will allocate.
Thank you. We have one more question.
Hi, good evening. Just a question regarding the customer loyalty, because nowadays the customers are very dynamic and they are not ready to stick to one particular product. Do you think adding some personalization and customization in consumer loyalty, for example, if I like something to be loyal to a particular brand or product, will you be using AI or such technology to customize consumer loyalty in the future? Can I have your perspective, please?
I can try and answer what you're saying. I think personalization will become an aspect of product design. And that's what I meant by saying a great product will give you a great experience. And personalization, customization, recognition, all that you could be using AI for will make the experience better, or should make the experience better, simpler. And if you like that as a customer, you stick around. If you don't like it, you won't. So I think I don't think technology is to be used just for the sake of it, right? You have to use it to make that experience sticky, moreish, and really valuable, and do, of course, the basics really well. So absolutely, it's available, but it has to make your experience better.
Just one thing. Actually, it's already happening, right? You try to uninstall your Chrome, and after 5-10 minutes, you'll be installing again because it knows you better than anything. So that is the best way of building loyalty. But unfortunately, in payments, we don't have so much of your data. But yeah, we are still in a way to build something like that.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, we can take one more. So, ma'am, if you could.
Okay, thank you so much for this discussion. I loved it. So this question is to Amit. You know the secret that other panelists don't know. How do you make money through rewards?
Interesting. So I know the answer. It's all about sustainability, as everyone said. The question really is that if a particular loyalty program, people consider it as a cost, the reason they believe that is because they are considering it as a separate P&L item altogether. However, what they are not considering is that the loyalty is supposed to bring engagement. What that means is that if a consumer is able to use my product again and again, that is one way or one form of getting revenue. Another form of revenue is that when I am actually telling others that I love this product, which is the product experience part of it, that is enjoying, other people are enjoying it, and hence more purchases are happening. The last part, what we have also solved at TWID, at Payable Rewards, is whenever the loyalty is getting consumed at our merchant, the merchant is getting the benefit of bringing a very loyal customer into their ecosystem, because of which the merchant pays us a premium commission, and out of which we also pass back a lion's share to the issuer. Now when we are actually passing that back to the issuer, our issuer starts making money onto the loyalty program, right? Which is over and beyond what they used to make. So not only just making money, but if your loyalty is able to get the consumer back again in various shapes and form, they will pay you back in that business. So I think that's how we have seen it, and it's becoming profitable for all our partners.
Ma'am, you have a question there?
Thanks. I'm Saxena. And rewards, especially sustainable rewards, typically have at least 3 dimensions. There is pure quantum, that is how much of the reward you're giving, in what format, could be whatever, coins or points or whatever you call it. And third is how you dispense it, the mechanism of dispensing, some of it's scratch cards or some of it's a coupon format or anything. In your experience, what's the hierarchy of these 3? Format, delivery mechanism, and just the form factor.
Are you talking about consumption or you are talking about earning?
Giving it to the customers.
I'll take that question. So I think the form factor shouldn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's value back to the customer. It's points, coins, cashback, all are different forms of giving value back to the customer. So I would rank that last. So the first one, I'll echo with what ma'am was saying, is that ease of redemption and the product experience is going to be very, very important. So you don't know where to redeem your points or cashback. It's hidden somewhere, and you've been told that you have cashback, but you have go through like a bunch of hoops to get to the redemption. It is a bad experience for the customer while you are delivering value. So I think the experience to redemption and how ease of redemption is going to be the number one for me. Quantum obviously is subject to the brand's propensity or merchant's propensity to spend on loyalty. So it's always like, it could be high, it could be low, but obviously people want to spend, and let's, for example, imagine that people are wanting to spend on their loyalty and there's enough quantum available, that takes number 2. So ease of redemption, quantum of redemption, and the form factor in that order, in my view.
So ubiquitousness and fungibility.
That's the technical word, thanks Amit.